Your brain is shrinking right now. If you are over 60, with each passing year, your brain loses volume. The hippocampus, the part responsible for memory, shrinks by about 0.5% per year. The frontal cortex, responsible for reasoning and decision-making, also progressively shrinks. In 10 years, you can lose up to 5% of your total brain volume. And do you know what that means? Weaker memory, slower thinking, higher risk of dementia and Alzheimer's. But what if I told you that there is a simple combination of 3 vitamins that can stop this shrinkage and even reverse years of loss? What if you could literally make your brain grow back? The truth is that science has already proven this. Researchers at the University of Oxford conducted a study called VitaCog with people over 70 who were already showing signs of cognitive decline. They gave half the group a specific combination of B vitamins and the other half a placebo. After 2 years, they performed MRI scans on the brains of all participants. The result was shocking. The placebo group had normal brain shrinkage, losing significant volume. But the group that received B vitamins had shrinkage reduced by 53%. 53%. And in the most critical areas for memory, protection was even greater, reaching 90%. This is not theory. These are real images showing brains stopping shrinking and starting to preserve themselves. Millions of people over the age of 60 are currently heading towards preventable cognitive decline. They are feeling their memory fail, forgetting names, losing objects, having difficulty learning new things, and they think it's normal with aging, that there's nothing you can do. But it does. There is science-based nutritional intervention that can completely change the trajectory of brain aging. And we're not talking about empty promises or unproven miracle supplements. We are talking about double-blind, placebo-controlled studies, published in the most respected scientific journals in the world. The problem is that most doctors don't talk about it. They wait for you to develop dementia and then prescribe expensive medications that barely work. But prevention is much more powerful than treatment. When brain shrinkage has already happened, when neurons have already died, reversing it is difficult. But if you act now, while you are still functioning well or in mild decline, you can preserve and even recover brain function. It can add years, perhaps decades of mental clarity to your life. Think about everything you still want to do. Projects you want to complete, grandchildren you want to see grow up, trips you want to take, books you want to read, conversations you want to have. All of this depends on a well-functioning brain. There is no point in having physical health, money, free time, if your mind is not clear. Quality of life in old age is primarily determined by brain health, and you have control over it. Not total, but significant. The choices you make today determine what your brain will be like in 5, 10, 15 years. In the next few minutes, I will reveal to you exactly what these 3 vitamins are, why they work together, what exact dosages science proves, how to take them, what to avoid, and how to enhance the results. Information that can literally save your mind. Pay attention to every word, because what you are about to learn could be the difference between aging with dignity and clarity, or gradually losing who you are. But before I reveal what these 3 vitamins are and their exact dosages, I need you to do something important. If you really want to protect your brain from shrinking, if you're serious about the health of your memory and cognition, then like this video right now. This isn't just to help the algorithm, it's so you can better fix the content. When you actively interact with information through physical action, your brain pays more attention and you retain what you are learning better. If you are over 60 or are caring for a parent or grandparent at that age, subscribe to the channel now, as I will continue to bring life-changing scientific information about brain health and longevity. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any updates. And now let's reveal these 3 powerful vitamins that can stop your brain from shrinking. The 3 vitamins that can save your brain are vitamin B12, vitamin B6, and folic acid, also known as vitamin B9. These 3 work together as a synchronized team to protect your neurons in a way that no other vitamin alone can. Let me explain exactly how it works in a way that anyone will understand. Your body produces a substance called homocysteine. Homocysteine is an amino acid that appears naturally NAT when you metabolize proteins. At normal levels, there is no problem. But when levels rise too high, homocysteine becomes poison for the brain. It damages the blood vessels that supply blood to the brain, causes chronic inflammation, and literally kills neurons. People with high homocysteine have a doubled risk of developing Alzheimer's. And do you know what controls homocysteine levels? Exactly these three vitamins from the B complex. They work as enzymes that break down homocysteine and transform it into harmless and even useful substances for the body. B12, B6, and B9 work in sequence, like an assembly line. If any one of these three vitamins is missing, the assembly line stops, homocysteine builds up, and brain damage begins. The problem is that most people over 60 are deficient in at least one of these vitamins, often without knowing it, and then the brain silently shrinks year after year. Why do so many people have disabilities after 60? Several reasons. First, the stomach's ability to produce gastric acid decreases with age. You need stomach acid to absorb vitamin B12 from food. If your acid is low, you can eat meat, eggs, fish, which are rich in B12, but you absorb almost none of it. Go straight through. Second, many medications that older people take block the absorption of these vitamins. Metformin for diabetes blocks B12. Antacids for heartburn block B12. Some blood pressure medications affect B6. Third, the modern diet is low in these vitamins. Processed foods have almost nothing. And even fresh foods today have fewer vitamins than they did 50 years ago because agricultural soils are depleted. So you have a perfect storm: decreased absorption, blocking medications, poor nutrition. Result: widespread disabilities that no one is measuring or treating until dementia appears, and then it's too late. But when you supplement these three vitamins in the right dosages, you reverse the deficiency, lower homocysteine, and brain shrinkage slows or stops completely. And there's more. Studies show that in addition to stopping shrinkage, these vitamins improve current cognitive function. People who took the B vitamin combo had improvements in episodic memory tests, which is the memory of events and experiences. They had fewer errors in attention tests, and they subjectively reported that their mind felt clearer. Let's talk about exact dosages, because this is crucial. There is no point in taking any quantity. It needs to be the therapeutic dose, which is the amount that has shown results in scientific studies. For vitamin B12, you need 500 micrograms per day. Not milligrams, micrograms. 500 micrograms. And it needs to be in the form of methylcobalamin or hydroxycobalamin, not cyanocobalamin. The first two are active forms that your body uses directly. Cyanocobalamin is the cheap synthetic form that needs to be converted by the body, and many people over 60 cannot do this conversion properly. So you take it and waste it because it doesn't become the active form. Always buy methylcobalamin or hydroxycobalamin. For vitamin B6, you need 20 milligrams per day. Attention, do not confuse milligrams with micrograms, 20 milligrams. And here there is also the detail of the shape. The best form is pyridoxal 5-phosphate, which is the active form. Pyridoxine HCl is the most common and cheapest form. It also works, but P5P is superior, especially for older people with slow metabolisms. If you find P5P, great. If not, pyridoxine will work, but you may need a slightly higher dose, perhaps 25 milligrams. For folic acid or vitamin B9, you need 800 micrograms per day. And here's the most important detail of all. Don't buy synthetic folic acid. Buy methylfolate or L-methylfolate. The difference is gigantic. Synthetic folic acid needs to be converted by the body into methylfolate to work, but around 40% of the population has a genetic variation called MTHFR that makes this conversion difficult. If you are one of these people and take synthetic folic acid, you won't absorb it properly, and worse, it may even block the absorption of natural folate from food. Methylfolate is already the active form. It goes straight into the cells and works. It's worth every extra penny it costs. Look for methylfolate or L-methylfolate on the label. So to summarize the dosages, B12 methylcobalamin 500 mcg, B6 pyridoxal 5-phosphate 20 meter, methylfolate 800 mcg. These are the exact amounts used in the studies that showed a 53% reduction in brain shrinkage. You can find this in separate capsules or in quality B complexes that already bring everything together. If you buy complex B, look at the label and check if it has these quantities in these specific forms. If you have less than that, it won't work the same. If you have too much more, it may have unnecessary side effects. When to take it? Preferably in the morning with breakfast. Vit B complex amines give energy and can disrupt sleep if taken at night. and it's best to take with food because some people experience mild nausea if they take B12 on an empty stomach. It doesn't have to be a big meal. It could just be an egg and a fruit. The important thing is to have something in your stomach. Take it every day without skipping it. Consistency is key. There is no point in taking 5 days and skipping 2. Your body needs to keep stable homocysteine levels low. If you skip days, homocysteine goes up again and the damage happens again. How long to take? At least 6 months to see measurable results on imaging tests. But ideally, this becomes a lifelong habit. These vitamins are not medicine that you take for a while and stop. These are essential nutrients that your body continually needs, especially after 60 when natural absorption is compromised. Think about how to brush your teeth. You don't brush for 6 months and stop thinking you're protected forever. You brush every day. The same goes for protecting the brain with these vitamins. Let's now talk about the mistakes that can completely sabotage your results. Mistake number 1, taking a regular multivitamin thinking it's covered. Most multivitamins have ridiculously low doses of these B vitamins, like 6 micrograms of B12 when you need 500, and in the wrong form, cyanocobalamin, and synthetic folic acid instead of methylfolate. Generic multivitamin is not suitable for a therapeutic neuroprotection protocol. You need specific, targeted supplementation. Mistake number 2, not testing your levels first. Ideally, you should ask your doctor for a blood test measuring homocysteine, vitamin B12, folic acid, and B6. This way, you know exactly where you are and can follow the evolution. Ideal homocysteine is below 7 micromoles per liter. Between 7 and 10 is already a moderate risk. Above 10 is high risk. If your doctor doesn't want to order it, you can do it privately. It costs around 200 reais to make the complete panel. It's worth the investment to make sure the protocol is working. He repeats the tests after 3 months of taking the vitamins and sees his homocysteine dropping. Mistake number 3, drinking it with coffee or tea right after. Caffeine and tannins can interfere with the absorption of some vitamins. Take the vitamins with water or natural juice. Wait at least 30 minutes, then drink your coffee if you want. Do not mix everything together, otherwise it will reduce absorption. Mistake number 4, buying dubious cheap brands. Supplements are not all the same. There are many products on the market that do not contain what it says on the label, or contain them in forms that are not absorbed. Purchase recognized brands, preferably imported from countries with strict quality control such as the United States, Canada, Germany. It costs a little more, but you are guaranteed purity and potency. Cheap supplements that don't work are wasted money anyway. Mistake number 5, thinking that only vitamins will do the trick and ignoring the rest of your health. These vitamins are extremely powerful, but they work best when you take care of other aspects as well. If you smoke, the vitamins will have to fight against the damage caused by cigarettes. If you eat a lot of sugar and refined carbohydrates, you are causing inflammation that the vitamins have to fight. If you don't sleep well, your brain can't repair itself even with vitamins. So use vitamins as a solid foundation, but build on top with healthy habits. Now let's talk about what you can realistically expect in terms of results and when. In the first month of taking these 3 vitamins in the correct dosages, you probably won't notice a dramatic difference. This is not a medicine that takes effect immediately. It is long-term protection construction. What's happening internally is that your homocysteine levels are starting to drop. If you do a blood test at the end of the first month, you will see the numbers improving. Homocysteine, which was at 12, can drop to 9. This drop represents less damage happening to your brain blood vessels, less inflammation in nerve cells, less neuronal death. But you still don't feel it noticeably because the brain is slow to show positive changes. The third month is when many people start to notice subtle differences. You may notice that you are remembering names more easily. That feeling of words on the tip of your tongue happens less frequently. You can follow complex conversations without getting lost in the middle. You can concentrate on tasks for longer periods without your mind wandering. These are small but real changes. Your brain is functioning better because neurons are less inflamed, blood vessels are healthier carrying more oxygen and nutrients, and new synaptic connections are being formed instead of destroyed. At 6 months, you have measurable changes. If you do a brain MRI now and compare it to one 6 months later, behind, a neurologist can see the difference. The areas that were shrinking stopped shrinking. The hippocampus maintained its volume or even grew slightly. The ventricles, which are empty spaces within the brain that enlarge when the brain shrinks, did not expand further. This is real reversal of brain aging. You literally bought time. Your brain at 6 months into the protocol may be biologically younger than it was at the beginning. Of course, you need to keep going because if you stop, the shrinkage comes back. But 6 months is the milestone where you can be sure it's working. At 12 months, you may have recovered years of loss. Studies show that people who maintained the protocol for a year had such a significant reduction in brain shrinkage that it was functionally as if they had gone back in time 5 to 7 years in terms of brain health. Imagine that. You are 68 years old chronologically, but your brain works like a 61, 62-year-old. This difference translates into real quality of life, more independence, more ability to learn new things, more preserved memories, less risk of future dementia. Now let's talk about how to enhance these results beyond vitamins. First powerful addition, omega-3, specifically DHA, which is a type of omega-3 found in fatty fish. DHA and B vitamins work in perfect synergy. A fascinating study showed that people with high levels of omega-3 in their blood responded much better to B vitamins. The reduction in brain atrophy in this group was even greater. Why? Because DHA is the building block of neuron membranes. B vitamins protect neurons from damage, and DHA provides building material for them to stay structurally healthy. Together, the effect is multiplied. Take 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams of omega-3 EPA plus DHA per day, along with B vitamins. Second addition, magnesium. Magnesium is a necessary cofactor for B vitamins to work. Without enough magnesium, the enzymes that use B6 and B12 do not work efficiently, and most people are magnesium deficient without knowing it. Supplement with 300 to 400 milligrams of magnesium glycinate or threonate per day. Magnesium threonate specifically crosses the blood-brain barrier well and has extra benefits for memory and learning. Take it at night because magnesium also improves sleep quality, and quality sleep is when the brain does maintenance and deep cleaning. Third addition, choline. Choline is a nutrient that many people don't get enough of. Your body uses choline to make acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter essential for memory. Eggs are the best source, especially the yolks. 2 or 3 eggs a day provide plenty of choline. If you don't eat eggs, you can supplement with 300 milligrams of CDP choline or alpha-GPC, which are forms of choline that work well for the brain. Choline plus B vitamins is an excellent combination because they both work on homocysteine metabolism and neurotransmitter production. Fourth addition, regular physical exercise. There is no supplement in the world that replaces movement. Exercise increases BDNF, the neural growth factor that causes the brain to create new cells and connections. Exercise improves cerebral blood flow, bringing more of the vitamins you're taking into the brain. Exercise reduces systemic inflammation. Studies show that people who combine B vitamin supplementation with regular exercise have much better results than those who just take the vitamins or just exercise. The synergy is real. 30 minutes of brisk walking 5 times a week makes a huge difference. If you can do more, even better. But 30 minutes 5 times is the minimum for significant brain protection. Fifth addition, cognitive stimulation. Use your brain or lose it. Neurons that are not used atrophy even with the best vitamins in the world. Challenge your brain daily. Learn a new language. Play a musical instrument. Do crosswords. Play chess. Read complex books. Study new subjects. Every time you force your brain to do something difficult, you create new synaptic connections. These connections form the cognitive reserve that protects you against dementia. The more connections you have, the more damage your brain can take before symptoms appear. Bilingual people, for example, develop Alzheimer's on average 5 years later than monolingual people because they have more cognitive reserve built up by the mental effort of managing 2 languages. Sixth addition, blood sugar control. High glucose levels damage blood vessels in the brain through a process called glycation. Proteins stuck together with sugar turn into toxic substances that accelerate aging. Keep your blood sugar stable by avoiding refined sugar, processed carbohydrates, and eating protein and good fat at each meal. If you have prediabetes or diabetes, control your sugar levels. Sugar is as important as taking vitamins. Uncontrolled glucose can negate many of the benefits of supplementation. Seventh addition, blood pressure control. Chronic hypertension damages the small blood vessels in the brain, causing microinfarcts that accumulate and lead to vascular dementia. Keep your blood pressure ideally below 120/80. If it's above that, Work with your doctor to lower it through diet, exercise, salt reduction, stress management, and medication if necessary. Well-controlled pressure protects the investment you are making with vitamins. 8th edition, quality sleep. During deep sleep, the glymphatic system occurs, which is literally brain cleansing. Cerebrospinal fluid flows through the brain, sweeping away toxic proteins, including beta amyloid that causes Alzheimer's. If you don't sleep well, this cleansing doesn't happen properly, and toxins accumulate. 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night in a dark and quiet room is essential. If you have trouble sleeping, the magnesium I mentioned before helps a lot. Also, avoid screens 2 hours before bed because blue light suppresses melatonin. 9th edition, social connection. Loneliness and isolation accelerate cognitive decline as much as any illness. Maintaining active friendships, participating in groups, having regular conversations, all of this keeps the brain stimulated and reduces inflammation through hormonal mechanisms. Socially active people have a much lower risk of dementia, so cultivate your relationships. Call friends. Participate in the community. This is brain medicine as potent as any vitamin. 10th edition, chronic stress reduction. Chronically elevated cortisol kills neurons, especially in the hippocampus. If you are stressed, anxious, worried, you are bathing your brain in toxic hormones. Practice stress management techniques. Meditation, deep breathing, yoga, time in nature, enjoyable hobbies. Find what works for you and make it a priority. 5 minutes of conscious breathing a day already reduces cortisol significantly. Don't underestimate the power of relaxation to protect your brain. Let's now talk about foods rich in these vitamins that you can include in your diet to complement supplementation. Because supplements are important, but real food also provides these vitamins along with other synergistic nutrients that enhance absorption. For vitamin B12, the best sources are red meat, especially liver. Beef liver has absurd amounts of B12. A small portion of 100 grams has more than 2,000% of the daily requirement. If you don't dislike liver, eat it once a week. Other good sources are fish such as salmon, sardines, tuna. Eggs also have it, especially in the yolk. Shellfish such as mussels and oysters are B12 champions. Vegetarians and vegans have a hard time because B12 only exists in animal products. If you don't eat anything of animal origin, supplementation is not optional, it is mandatory. For vitamin B6, good sources include chicken, turkey, salmon, tuna, bananas, unpeeled potatoes, chickpeas, spinach. A medium-baked potato with the skin has about 30% of the daily B6 requirement. A chicken breast has 50%. So if you regularly eat animal protein and some vegetables, you probably don't have a serious B6 deficiency. But even so, supplementation guarantees therapeutic levels for maximum homocysteine reduction. For natural folate, the best sources are dark green leafy vegetables, spinach, kale, broccoli, asparagus. Legumes like lentils, black beans, chickpeas are also rich. Beef liver again appears as champion, having enormous amounts of folate. 1 cup of cooked spinach has about 60% of the daily requirement. The problem is that natural folate in foods is fragile and is lost in cooking and storage. So even if you eat well, you may not be getting enough. And if you have the MTHFR genetic variation, your body doesn't even use natural folate well. Hence the importance of supplementation with methylfolate. An ideal brain protective diet would include, for breakfast, eggs with spinach or sautéed kale. For lunch, salmon or chicken with potatoes and broccoli. For dinner, lean red meat or liver once a week with a green salad and beans. Snacks can include bananas with peanut butter, natural yogurt. This combination would give you a decent amount of the B vitamins from food, and supplementation ensures you reach the therapeutic levels needed to reverse brain shrinkage. But be careful not to fall into the trap of thinking that just because you are eating well, you don't need to supplement. The studies that showed reversal of brain atrophy used supplementation at specific doses, not just food. Food is the basis, supplementation is the guarantee. Do both together for maximum results. Now let's address some common questions that people do. First question, is there a risk of taking too much B vitamins? For B12 and B9 methylfolate, there is practically no toxicity even at high doses. Your body eliminates the excess through urine. It doesn't accumulate, causing problems. For B6, there is a safe limit of about 100 milligrams per day. Above that, taken for months, it can cause peripheral neuropathy, which is tingling in the hands and feet. But at the 20 milligram dose I'm recommending, you're way below the safe limit. So there is no risk. If you take 25 or 30 by accident, that's also fine. The risk only appears with doses like 200, 300 milligrams for prolonged periods. Second question, do these vitamins interact with medications? B12, B6, and folate are generally safe even with medications. But there are some exceptions. If you take methotrexate for arthritis or cancer, it purposefully blocks folate as part of the treatment. In this case, you cannot supplement folate without talking to your oncologist or rheumatologist. If you take anticonvulsants for epilepsy, some of them interact with folate. If you take levodopa for Parkinson's, B6 in very high doses may reduce effectiveness. But at a dose of 20 milligrams, there is generally no problem. In any case, if you are on chronic medication, show this protocol to your doctor before you start. Most will approve because it is a safe nutritional intervention, but it is always worth checking, especially if you take several medications. Third question, does it work for those who already have diagnosed dementia? The studies were mainly done on people with mild cognitive decline or cognitively normal people. For already established dementia, the results are less dramatic. It can still help slow the progression, but it won't reverse it completely. That's why the main message is, start now, don't wait until you have a problem. Prevention is 100 times more effective than treatment when it comes to the brain. Once neurons have died, they don't come back. But if you act before extensive neuronal death, you can prevent it from happening. Fourth question, how much does this protocol cost per month? A bottle of quality B complex with methylcobalamin, P5P, and methylfolate in the correct dosages costs between 80 and 150 reais depending on the brand. A bottle usually has 60 capsules, so it lasts 2 months if you take one a day. You are talking about 40 to 75 reais per month. Compare that to the cost of dementia medications that run into the thousands per month and barely work. Or compare it to the cost of losing independence, needing a caregiver, institutionalization. Brain protection is the cheapest and highest return investment there is. Fifth question, can I do tests to confirm that it is working? Yes, and it is highly recommended. Ask your doctor for homocysteine, B12, and folic acid tests before starting. Repeat after 3 months. You will see homocysteine dropping, B12 and folate rising. This gives you objective confirmation that the protocol is working. If you have access and resources, you can have volumetric brain MRI before and after 1 year. It's more expensive, but it gives you a literal image of your brain stopping shrinking. It is not necessary to benefit, but it is motivating to see visual proof. Sixth question, what if I forget to take it one day? No problem. One missed day doesn't destroy months of progress. Just come back the next day. Do not double the dose to compensate. It remains normal. The important thing is consistency most days. If you take it 6 days a week consistently, you will still see excellent results. Nobody is perfect. Don't blame yourself for occasional failures. Now I want to give you a broader perspective of what is really at stake here. Brain shrinkage isn't just about forgetting where you put your keys. It's about gradually losing who you are, your personality, your memories, your ability to relate, to learn, to experience the world. Alzheimer's and other dementias steal a person's essence while the body is still alive. It's one of the cruelest things that can happen to someone. And it doesn't just affect the person, it affects the whole family. Children who become parents, spouses who lose partners. The suffering is immense and prolonged, but all of this can be largely avoided. I'm not saying these vitamins guarantee you'll never get dementia. There are genetic factors involved. You're lucky too, but you can drastically reduce your risk. It can add years, perhaps decades of mental clarity. You can reach 80, 85, 90 years old, still lucid, still yourself, still able to enjoy life. This is priceless, and it's within your reach now. 3 vitamins, specific dosages, daily consistency. It's so simple that it seems too good to be true. But science doesn't lie. Brain scans don't lie. Double-blind studies don't lie. You are at a crossroads now. One path leads to passively accepting brain shrinkage as in resemble of aging. Expect your memory to fail more and more, and eventually perhaps develop dementia. The other path leads to proactive action, science-based brain protection, preservation of your mind and identity for as long as possible. Which path do you choose? I sincerely hope you choose the second, because you deserve to grow old with dignity and clarity. If you've made it this far in the video, you're clearly someone who values brain health and is willing to learn. Now I need you to act. First, subscribe to this channel now if you are not already subscribed. I will bring much more content about brain longevity, memory, dementia prevention based on the latest scientific research. Second, leave your like on this video. Help this vital information reach more people who need it. Third, go to the comments now and write exactly that. I'm going to buy B vitamins today. When you publicly declare an intention, you increase the likelihood of compliance. So go on, write I'm going to buy B vitamins today in the comments. Fourth, share this video with parents, grandparents, uncles, anyone over 60 that you love. You could literally be saving their mind. And fifth, ask your doctor for a homocysteine test at your next appointment. Knowledge is power. Knowing your levels allows you to act with precision. And sixth, click on the next video appearing on your screen right now, where I reveal the 5 foods that you think are healthy but are secretly shrinking your brain. Shocking information that everyone needs to know. Click now and continue this brain protection journey with me. See you in the next video.